Okay, let's get into, I think, something that is very much top of mind for us as we mostly come out of the meetings that we support our teams with. We any new teams that are saying, "Hey, we've got some space," because we do have some space open for going into next year for supporting schools, school districts in math improvement and math improvement plans. But we come out of some of these early meetings, and we, when you feel like you're like, there's something that's just not sitting right yet. And that's really what we're talking about here, which is really around this idea of, I guess we're going to frame it as fundamental beliefs and fundamental core beliefs about what we say and what we do. And I think maybe that's the better way to say it, Yvette, is that we come out of and this is what we just hit record because this is top of mind and very passionate. We're going to be very passionate. You're going to hear Yvette get passionate in just a sec. So, it's kind of like, what do we say is important in math improvement and math here at our school or school district? And what do we do? They're often what we're seeing two completely different things. And when we close the gap there is when we start to see improvement. So let's talk about how wide the gap is when we think about like what we say is important and then what we're doing about it. All right, I'm going to let the reins go.
I guess it also comes back to this question that we're constantly striving to answer with our district and school level partners is, what's different about this plan than every other plan before? Right. So we're not new to improvement planning at the state, district, school level. This is the work that we do that's ongoing. So why is this plan going to be more impactful, more effective, more sustainable than every other iteration in the past where it just hasn't yielded the results and we're in this, doom cycle of try and then toss and try and then toss.
Right.
And one of the things I've been wondering lately is kind of to your intro, which is when we say things like, we believe that teachers need to have a voice in the process. We believe that teachers need to be the ones doing the thinking and doing the work and coming to the table and digging in, and they need some autonomy over the how and what it's going to look like. And we believe that creating space for that and networks is important. If we believe that, like if that is a fundamental belief that we're like, if change is going to happen.
You're saying you're talking about, hey, I'm at the district office or I'm at the school, office. I'm supporting teachers or I'm planning professional development. I'm in charge of curriculum, all of these things. I'm not a classroom teacher. I make decisions around the direction of where we want to go in a year for improvement planning purposes. We say these things are important. Give us the example here.
Well, and I guess it's like, if that's something we fundamentally believe, that we're like, change is going to happen when, like, we're talking about ultimately change getting to the student desk, transformation in student learning outcomes, student dispositions, student attitudes, student confidence. Like, we want the change at the student desk in the student experience. And if we fundamentally believe that a critical part of that work is that teachers are, in it, they're invested, they're open to the change, they want to be a part of the transformation, they're looking for the solution, then everything we do to design professional development should honor that belief. But sometimes it's like because of time or because of, constraints.
We sacrifice our beliefs.
We do. And I guess then what's different?
Exactly. You just come back to the same old, same old. We have often said, like, you got to change the change. Like, you got to change what you're trying to change about the way you go about improvement planning. And because, we get on calls and we say, well, what do you want the focus? What do you want your one objective to be by the end of the next year? And like, we're going to have like you just said, we're going to make sure that we create coherence across the system and we're going to get voice. But it's like, but the rollout of that is going to be like, well, we've already predetermined what the objective is going to be. And then now we're going to tell everybody how to do it. Like, is that really what you've just done? Like, you have to decide what are like, and we see this a lot, is that we haven't really defined what we truly believe about some really core issues around education. And we maybe haven't talked about it with our leadership partners or our teachers, or like, we have to sometimes have these tough conversations. Like, what do we truly believe about how to motivate individuals, because that's kind of what this is kind of like why we say what we say about especially teacher voice. It's like, well, we want teacher buy-in. Like, we want everyone to be on board with what we're trying to do. Like, we've got an idea. We know it's rooted in research practices. Like, this is important stuff. Not everybody knows what we know, but we need everyone to be like, rally behind this. And so we want to build in voice. But then we say we want to build in voice, but we still know this is the right way to do it. Like, that's still that's a tough thing to do. It's a tough conversation to have, but you still have to decide, what is it that you truly believe about how to motivate individuals and get by? If getting teacher voice is part of that process, then you're right. You have to design all the professional development that you're trying to do, let alone decide on like what the vision for math instruction is going to be with teacher voice in mind. Like, how do you really do that? We have to list, like, describe, like, what are our fundamental core beliefs around the improvement here in education? What do we truly believe about how to motivate? What do we truly believe about how students learn mathematics? What do we truly believe about how educators learn math? Like, how educators learn how to perfect their craft? What do we truly believe about the student experience? Like, these are things we have to answer because they guide decision making.
And I think the problem is when we say we believe something, but then our actions don't reflect that belief, we lose trust.
For sure.
And this is the continuous cycle we sometimes find ourselves in because of constraints and because of things that are out of our control often, but it still doesn't change the impact. Another example that's come up, in our research lately, in our conversations, has been like, do we believe that buying a new curriculum or new resource and downloading it into the system is going to move the needle? So we're like, now we've bought it, we've put all the money into it, and here it is. It's going to show up at your classroom door the first day of September. Go ahead. Like, do we believe that that is going to empower teachers, build teacher confidence, impact student achievement? And does the research say that that's true? And like, if the answer is no, you're like, of course not. Dropping a resource on teachers with no networks in place for support or capacity building. And we always go back to, and it's not 5 hours or 14 hours of Pillow PD. It's sustained, ongoing, intensive support that's offered to support implementation with integrity. If that's what's actually necessary to move the needle or build teacher confidence, impact student achievement, when we believe that, we have these conversations at the district level, of course, but that we continue to drop resources.
Right. Like, I think what's more reality is that everyone says yes to your question. I think that's what you're meaning. It's like, yes, we believe that a core resource is essential to math learning in our schools. And it's like, it gives us a floor to build from. It's an important component of the work we're trying to do. But, but my actual actions are to drop, like what you're saying, to drop it in on you because you think that's actually going to solve the problem. Because I think, yes, we need it, but also, yes, it's not the only thing that's going to actually move the needle here.
Well, it's like, we know that the resource alone, without sustained support and understanding of implementation and, feedback from and
that's
administrators on board, right? Like,
right.
Without all of those things in place, it's like we know that the impact isn't going to be significant, and that it's in many cases, especially in elementary where teachers are teaching multiple subjects, it creates overwhelm, it creates frustration, it creates distrust in the system.
Yeah. I think what happens is you're right. People are saying no. I know it's not the only thing that matters, but and so then they drop it still. We say one thing, we do another. But I think the third or the other way people are looking at it is going, but what else can I do? And that's what perpetuates the cycle of like, okay, I'm just going to drop it because I've got no other better ideas. It worked somewhat last time. This is supposed to fix it a little bit more. Let's drop it. And then if you did ask them to reflect on, well, how are you going to support it? How are you going to roll out the actual required amount of professional development that you now understand is required to get you the results that you want, is to have consistent adoption, consistent use of the, by integrity and all of the above that you are imagining that this is going to solve and going like, okay, I'm going to do this, but now I don't have the funds to do all of that. Like that would take this. But we bought it. So then it's like, we'll just keep doing what we do. Mm-hmm. Right. And then it gets overwhelming because you feel like you're in an unsolvable situation.
I think that we're trying to stop the doom cycle.
Exactly.
Stop this constant, we need to start again. We need to buy something new. We need to put in a new initiative because what we've been doing hasn't been working. We really need to focus on strengthening the system we have and how it's built to support and sustain change. And that system's going to be held up by what you fundamentally believe it's going to take, or what are the conditions? Like, what are the conditions for change? Like thinking about human behavior and how people respond and feel empowered. It's like, what are the conditions that are going to support meaningful and authentic change and reflection and refinement and, people asking questions and digging in. And it's like, if we can identify the conditions and we can commit to them and not waver from them, even if it means doing less. Right. Or only committing to so many places or pulling back on the ambitious goals maybe that we had for this year because we need to get real about what we said the conditions were for building sustainable systems that allow change to happen and sticking to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we just don't know what those conditions are. Until you know what those conditions are, you have a hard time making the decision of like, how do I support it in this way? Like how do I structure the subsystems of support that I have, the PLCs, the coaching, the large scale pullout sessions that I have? How do I create coherence across my school or my school system to rally behind this idea? And if it is about supporting the installation or the adoption of this curriculum, is how can I create those conditions, and can I create them first at a small scale to know what actually is needed? It's like, if I fundamentally know that it takes 49 professional development hours, well, how do I do that at a small scale to show that curriculum in that grade level, in that school, with that leader, with the support on the leadership side, the support on the facilitator side, the support on the coaches side, the support on the intervention teacher side, all of those pieces matter. And when we create coherence with all of those individuals and all those pieces around this one thing, hey, we're seeing traction in that first year of adoption because we created the conditions that matter, because we had control over a small subset of our people. And now we can make the decision if we have support to go farther or the next grade level, or we move the support to another grade level, or we open it up because we're now seeing the success of the conditions that we created. Like, we'd rather see teams do that type of work than just go like rolling out K-8, drop it. We know we can't support it, but we're just hoping.
Right. And I mean, we can continue to do that, but it's not going to result in, any significant difference at the student desk. That's just the reality we have to be okay with. Yeah. So it's like, if we don't want things to be different than the last 5 iterations of this plan, then we're going to keep doing what we're doing. Exactly.
It's like, you're right. You have to just, and I think sometimes you just don't know that's what it's going to be. Like a lot of times we have these epiphanies when we have these types of conversations with the teams we're supporting, is we're providing you this information around the conditions that matter, and we still have unique constraints that we're under that we can't solve. But now that you know, it will adjust your outcomes and your expectations. That's and that actually is really important for what you can decide to commit to, because you might just understand, like, this is what is required. I can't do any of that, or I can't do half of that, or I can't do a third of that. But you just now go, okay, so that changes the reality of where I think we were going to end up at the end of the year. And am I okay with that? I just have to ask myself, if I'm not okay with that, then what am I doing to adjust those expectations, knowing that I've got these commitment or these conditions in place? Like, which condition do I want to change to create the outcome that I want? Or if I am realizing that I'm happy with that based off my current constraints, then great. Like that's good for you, knowing that what you know, maybe you can make adjustments into the next year. But I think knowing helps you sleep better at night.
For sure. I think we have a session this Friday with some of our school teams with a larger organization that we work with. And I think the title is like, Let's Time to Get Real,
Yeah.
Like, it's like, we can be as ambitious as we want to be. We can set these goals, but the problem is when we never actually achieve them because they were unrealistic based on the conditions we have in place or the strength of our system to sustain change, then we end up feeling defeated, deflated, like it was a failure, and we throw it all out.
Mm-hmm.
We scrap it. Rather than just saying, you know what, we just didn't actually match our outcome with the reality of the system that we have to support change.
Yeah.
Going back to this idea, just to kind of summarize for our listeners today, I think it's important to really not just think about the thing or the innovation, whatever it is. It's like, I want to adopt this new curriculum with integrity. I want to support the implementation of these high impact practices. I want to, change achievement around fractions, whatever it is. I think part of your compass, if you're a leader of change, is to decide what you fundamentally believe about conditions that even you as a teacher, when you think about your experience and when you were best positioned to engage in meaningful learning, when you had an open learning stance, when you felt empowered and motivated and inspired to do the digging in. It's like, what were those conditions? What do we fundamentally believe is going to, we say this all the time. We can have the best plan in place, but if nobody wants to come to the table, if nobody wants to be there, it actually doesn't matter. If they come to the session and walk out the door and say, sure, that was great, but I'm not doing anything different tomorrow, then I feel like it's a lot of energy and time spent on something with little impact. And so as part of we did a session or a podcast recently on like your compass, like this lens through which you make decisions about how funds are going to be allocated, how PD time is going to be used. You have to ask yourself, like, does this choice honor what we believe about conditions that support change? And if the answer is no, it actually contradicts our beliefs, it goes against what we know to be, best practice or research-based, then we have to really ask ourselves why we're doing it.
Totally. You mentioned the compass. The compass is a tool that we help our teams understand, because the East point is understanding what is our fundamental beliefs around these important ideas. Have we listed them? Have we communicated them? Have we tried to create coherence around them? The compass, we call it the math coherence compass, because coherence is really the job of improvement planning is to create coherence across a system of like, what is it that we're trying to do? And what does it look like? The north part is your like 3-year, 5-year mission. Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve in 5 years? Like, what's that one thing, that one objective? You have to know what that is. The south point on your compass is your vision statement for mathematics. Like, what is the student experience that we're ultimately striving for long-term, past 5 years, 10 years? Like, can we describe that in clear language so that everyone can understand what that looks like and sounds like? We have to use it as a decision-making compass. Like, if I have these decisions, does it pass the student experience? Like, does this thing help us do that better or clearer or more? Yes. Okay, great. Pass that checkpoint. The west side is kind of like where sometimes things get mucky or slower. And this is our subsystems of support. Where are our strengths? Like, where are our technical strengths? Like our system strengths? Like, what can support this decision or this move? This is our coaching support or programs, or, do we have access to professional development days throughout the year? Like, what are the strengths what are the moves, the channels that we have access to actually create this coherence? You have to decide. Like, sometimes these moves, like a lot of times what we were just talking about with the high quality instructional material adoption, is like, that's the great move. Let's go look at the west side of the compass. Can we support it? Yes or no? Now we have to get really real about what this move actually looks like. So the compass is a tool that you want to put into place because it helps leadership at all levels, and teachers understand where we're all trying to go and how to make appropriate decisions. You can get a copy of that. You can see the training around that over at our website. Go to makemathmoments.com/coherence. You can download your own coherence compass. It's a template. You can fill it in. There's a training there to show you how to fill it in and how to go about doing that with your school or your school district. So we talked about the compass here today, really around the East Point, the fundamental values, the fundamental beliefs around what we're trying to do to help you make better decisions. So you can head to makemathmoments.com/coherence. Otherwise, we'll see you soon in the next episode.